Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and as promised we are jumping back into the expanded format. Now that Regionals has wrapped up in the UK, we have a couple of weeks break before we get back into January, where the cities will kick in for all of us, and a lot of our cities are going to be expanded, so we are turning our attentions to that right now. And today we are looking at a updated list of Yveltal Archeops. And this time we have Gallade as a different Maxie target. So there's a lot going on with this deck. You can see we have a bunch of different one-offs and different types of attackers coming out of all angles, basically. This deck is kind of toolboxy in Expanded. You have a lot of different things in here, trying to have 50-50 matchups or better against almost everything in the format right now. So let's jump straight into it. First of all, let's start off with Baby Yveltal. We're playing two of this guy just because Night March is a really big thing. Even in Expanded, it's kind of bigger in Standard right now, but there is still a few of them around in Standard, in Expanded, sorry. So we do have the famous Night March killer, Oblivion Wing, killing Joltix and Pumpkaboos. This basically forces your opponent into Mew EX, and we much prefer them in Mew because then we can use our other attackers, stuff like Darkrai and Yveltal EX, because then we're taking two prizes, which is obviously better. So Yveltal, very nice in here. That Oblivion Wing helps set up extra energy attachments, so it can also be helpful against stuff like Seismitoad Giratina or Seismitoad Bats, because we get those extra attachments and get around their crushing hammers, while really, because we have this nice HP buff, it's difficult for the Toad players to really get enough damage on to one-shot us. Even with Bat Drops and Laser, we're normally going to stick around for 1 or 2 turns, which is pretty good. Also, being a non-EX with that fighting resistance really helps out against fighting Bats decks. Normally, they can really keep up with prize trade if they stick with Hawluchas and stuff like that, but by using Baby Yveltal, we're not giving them that option, so a lot of good reasons why we have two Baby Yveltal in here. I wish I could play more, really. I really do love this card at the moment. But we do have the Super Rod in here, so it kind of makes sense to have one-ofs in the deck, 1 and 2-ofs rather than higher counts for the most part. So there we are. Following on from this, we have Darkrai, of course, and Expanded. Still a really nice partner for these Dark decks. Dark Cloak giving us free retreat around all of our Pokemon with Dark Energy attached, so this is really awesome. Lets us move in between our attackers freely, and yeah, pretty nice for flexibility. Also has a different weakness to Yveltal EX, so if we are facing up against Manectric builds, they're not too popular and Expanded right now, but just in case, we do have this option to tank a couple of hits there. And we have the Night Spear. It does 90 damage and a 30 snipe, so once again, this is an option for us against Night March decks, because we can put Muscle Bands on and start threatening Mews. We don't play Laser in this build. It's something I chose to cut to try and maximize our Archeops and Gallade potential, but there is the option to play lasers in here, because then you can one-shot Mew and also kill a Joltik on the bench, which is often a really nice option. So in this specific build, we either have to use like a Sky Return or an Oblivion Wing first on a Mew before we can do that combo, but there are points in the game where we can get a 3-prize swing, which is really huge with Darkrai. And in general, this Night Spear is decent damage overall. We have Dark Patches and stuff to get it accelerated and get him going, potentially even in 1 turn, which is nice. So the main attacker of the deck is Yveltal EX. This guy's obviously amazing. Evil Ball is fantastic. It's our main defense against Archeops decks, where normally Keldeo is stacking probably around 5 or 6 energy at least onto itself to get one-shots on our EX Pokemon. We only need a Dark and a Colorless energy to respond with Evil Ball, so that's pretty perfect. We have the Y-Cyclone as well. This is more and more often becoming a favoured attack among Yveltal EX players because we get to retain that energy, moving DCs around so that we can put them onto things like Seismitoad or Gallade, 2 real nice options for us. We can even just choose to move Dark Energy in between other Yveltals or onto Darkrai's and stuff like that, so huge potential with both of these attacks. Still one of the best attackers in format, and especially in Expanded, he's a lot faster because we have Dark Patch, so very, very nice card there, utilising him to his fullest potential. So let's look at our 2 Maxie targets. We have the Archeops in here. Archeops, stopping your opponent from evolving from their hand. Also us, but we're not playing any evolution, so don't worry about that. This is obviously fantastic. Vespiquen and Flareon is one of the most profitable decks right now. It's got a very high win percentage early on in these city championships, so it's something we want to counter. Also, we are a thorn in the side of a few mega decks. Rayquaza and Manectric struggle if we are able to get Archeops out early. And additionally, this is a real nice defense against Sableye Garbodor, it turns out. If you can go first and get this guy down before Garbodor is developed, it means that we can keep things like Dark Cloak in play. And that's a really big thing for us, because otherwise Sableye Garb can be a bit of an awkward matchup. That is one of the reasons why we play Toad, but also Archeops. If we can develop that in that matchup, it's actually really nice, so that's a good thing to consider. Overall, it's mainly for the Vespiquen and Flareon. If we develop this, they're forced into awkward spots where they need to find things like Evo Sodas, maybe they play a Wally, or even just use the Energy Evolution ability from the opponent's Eevees to actually get evolving. Other than that, they can play stuff like Hex Maniac, but even then, we're forcing these awkward things out of them so that they can't use other supporters, maybe Lysandres or Blacksmiths that they would like to use. Archeops prevents that, so that's really nice for us. The other Maxie's target we're playing is actually Gallade. We've seen Yveltal Gallade Zoroark do really, really well in Standard, so why not throw him in here as well for Expanded? And basically the concept is, when you're in matchups where Archeops is not helpful, just find Gallade instead. We have the engine built already, so let's just have a different target. So we are playing the one Gallade, really nice HP. Again, he's a counter to Manectric, so it's really not an issue, that matchup. We have this really lovely Premonition, which lets us look at the top 5, rearrange them however we would like. Unlike the standard builds, we don't actually have many cards in the deck that can instantly get us into those top decks, but even then, we have that one Unown that you can see down here. I'll get onto that in a moment. We have 2 Shaymin, and we should be able to draw into these cards if we want. And even then, just knowing our top decks alone can really help out, sort out our hands, getting us into DCEs, VS Seekers, Dark Patches. All of these important cards in the deck, we can get into them faster thanks to Premonition. And let's not forget Gallade's attack. Absolutely fantastic. Sensitive Blade, 60 plus 70 more damage if you've played a supporter. We play plenty in here, and of course with Premonition, it's very unlikely that we'll miss supporters when we need them, which means we're basically a base of 130. And this is perfect for killing off Shaymins, and it's also really nice for killing stuff like Mews as well against Night March. Because obviously Archeops isn't too helpful in the Night March matchup, but Gallade really can be, because as a non-EX killing a Mew, we are able to race ahead in the prize trade, which is pretty nice. So he's an extra attacker in that matchup also, so plenty of different reasons why Gallade is really good. Even in mirror matches, it can be awkward for Yveltals to one-shot Gallades. If they are doing so, then they're probably committing quite a few energy, at which point we can come in and respond with an Evil Ball, so plenty of good reasons why Gallade is fantastic in here. So, what really complements the deck? Well, we have one Exeggcute. This is an absolute godsend. We unfortunately don't have this in Standard right now, but he's a real math fixer for us. This propagation allows us to put him in the hand whenever we want to. It can mean that we get some slightly cheaper Ultra Balls now and again, cheaper comp searches. Obviously, it's one of the things we'll throw away early with Compressor. So when we're trying to get this Maxie combo working, we can sort out the hand math by bringing back the egg as often as we need to, so that we can drop our hand size down perfectly for Maxie. There's also a really cute play that you can do, I've found, against Night March, and that's when you actually use Shaymin EX's Sky Return. Before you use Sky Return, you pop the egg on your bench, and then once you Sky Return, you can send him up. He's pretty much the ideal sacrificial lamb, and that's a nice cute play to be aware of as well. That can actually be the difference between winning and losing against Night March, because Sky Returning up your Shaymin after you use it can deny prizes for them. Sometimes you can kill a Joltik as well, so plenty of different reasons why Sky Return is a really nice play in that matchup. And the egg is the perfect thing to throw into the active position in that sort of instance, so that's a real good thing to be aware of as well. Little niche thing, but it's a pro play if you can pull it off. So I don't think I mentioned the Shaymin, but we also have one Jirachi in here. Jirachi, Stellar Guidance, finds us our supporter. A lot of the time it's going to be spent trying to find that Maxie really early on. If we start with Ultra Balls, they just get so powerful because we can dump the hand low and then find Jirachi to get us into Maxie. So that's pretty awesome. We are also playing the 2 Shaymin, of course. Shaymin setting us up back up to 6. Really nice hand refresh. Really works well with Gallade as well. and we do have that Sky Return attack, which can be useful against Night March, and other things here and there as well. If we slap Muscle Band on, we can kill stuff like Zubats and Combies, so something to be aware of, which is pretty cool. So we have a couple more one-offs in here. One of them is Seismitoad EX. I know there are a few dedicated decks around Seismitoad. In here we're just playing one. One of the main reasons is actually Sableye Garbodor. We want to stop them from spamming all of their trollish trainers all the time, stop them using VS Seekers, and really hurt their consistency overall. Quaking Punch also stops them using Life Dew, so you can actually take prizes. So plenty of reasons why you need the Toad in the deck. It really forces them to start finding their Flare Grunts and Zerosics as quickly as possible. And under item lock, it can be kind of difficult for Sableye to do that sometimes. So Quaking Punch, definitely a fantastic tool against that deck specifically. In more general terms, being able to disrupt other opponents who are using Seismitoad. So you're both in a Quaking Punch fight, stopping them using Crushing Hammers, allows us to set up things like Yveltal EX on the bench manually, to then come in and start using our bigger attacks, at which point their hammers are a lot less useful. So Seismitoad really good in those two instances, and every now and again when you just need to prod for damage, Quaking Punch is never a bad option, because especially if they don't expect it, you can just free retreat out of your active, attach DCE, punch them in the face once, and maybe they've not been prepared in their hand, maybe they've kept VS Seekers being kind of greedy rather than just finding a supporter on a certain turn, so you can sometimes catch people off guard with a single Seismitoad EX. The final Pokemon we're playing, it may seem a little bit out of place, just playing one Unown, but that Farewell Letter is really nice. It's an insta-play card, so it really doesn't hurt us to play a single Unown in the deck, because we can drop it straight away, or we can use it to try and get into a Maxie combo on our first turn. But then, in the mid to late game, if we do have Gallade set up, he's just such a fantastic card for this Premonition. It's almost like an overpowered Trainer's Mail, where you can pick one card from the top 5 and just pick it into your hand if you have the combo of Unown and Gallade. It's something that I really love using in the standard list of Gallade, so I thought I'd sneak one in here. We don't have much space for any more, but even just having the one, because we do play Super Rod, we can sometimes get multiple uses out of it, so it's a really nice single card to have in here, and I really tried hard to squeak that extra space in just to have that combo, but it may seem gimmicky, but when you pull it off, it is really worth it with Gallade. So we have our main means of getting the cards from Gallade are Shaymin and Unown in this deck. We're not playing any Acrobikes, unfortunately. It would be nice, but we just don't have the space because we've had to squeeze room for things like Dark Patch and stuff like that. So let's move on to the trainers now. We are playing Comp Search. God, I love Expanded. You get to play powerful trainers like this. Comp Search is fantastic for finding that Maxie combo. I don't think I've ever had a hand where I've had Comp Search in it and I've not been able to get the Maxie on that turn. You can just get exactly the pieces that you need most of the time, whilst lowering your hand size down as well, so it's pretty ideal to have this in here. We are playing that one Super Rod. It's important for getting back energy against stuff like Sableye Garb. It can get back your Unown for those extra top decks, which can really help us out. It can also help get back Baby Yveltals against Night March. Get back other things. We're playing a bunch of one-offs, so recovering the things that we need is very, very helpful. So Super Rod, really good for a number of different reasons. It's pretty cool as well, especially because we're playing Parallel City as well. Sometimes, well, actually a lot of the time, we put the disruptive factor on ourselves, limiting our bench to 3, so that we can kill off our Jirachi and Shaymin so that they're not just prize targets on the bench, and then Super Rodding them back to sometimes get extra uses out of them later on. When we need to finish a game, we can Ultra Ball to find Jirachi all over again, stuff like that. Super Rod can help us out there in niche situations. So we are playing the 3 Dark Patch. I would love to have 4 in here. I've really debated about cutting things here or there. If you're not worried about Rayquaza, I'd probably cut the Parallel City for the 4th one, if I'm totally honest. Because 4 Dark Patch really is nice. At the moment, I've been getting away with 3. If you do have 4 in the deck, you're slightly stronger against Blastoise, you're slightly stronger against Night March because you can improve your Darkrai, but overall, I think it's fine with 3. It definitely functions well enough with 3. Seeing as though I've been playing it in Standard with 0 right now, the deck still definitely functions. So 3 alone I think is fine really for the deck. It's what I've been testing with right now, because of course it means we can get Evil Balls going out of nowhere. We can actually power up a Darkrai in a format where it would feel like way too slow. I don't think we've seen attacks like this be used on many cards as of late. but we have Dark Patch Acceleration to really help us out, so we can get attackers coming out of nowhere with this deck thanks to Dark Patch, and that's really good. We are playing the 4 Compressor. It's the main means of getting your Maxie pieces in the discard pile. You throw away your Maxie and one or two of your pieces, maybe the egg as well. We can also throw away Dark Energy to combo with Dark Patch. We can throw away the Pokemon that we don't need in a certain matchup. We can declunk our deck basically, and that's really nice. It's obviously an insta-play card at the worst of times as well for the Maxie combo, and a big consistency booster because we can throw... You can see we have a bunch of different supporters in here. We throw the one that we need in the discard pile early on, and then just VS Seek into it. So it's just a huge consistency booster overall, and obviously it's fantastic with the Maxie combo. Next up, we are maxing out the Trainer's Mail. Very similar reason. We want to consistently get Maxie, pretty much. That's the whole idea of the deck. So we are maxing out the Trainer's Mail. Similar situation for the Ultra Ball. Gets us into all of our dudes and also lower the hand size for when we're going for the combo in the early turns. Pretty standard as well for VS Seeker, don't really need to go over it. We play a bunch of different supporters, so there we are. So here are some of the one-ofs. AZ is pretty huge. It's really nice prize denying once we've used a Jirachi or a Shaymin. Pick that back up so it's not a 2-prize target. A very similar reason why we play the Parallel City. It's also really nice against Sableye Garb, because oftentimes they will be using Lysandre tactics to stall on us. Definitely if they've developed Garbodor, we don't have Dark Patch, so we have a lot of clunk in the deck. AZ can really help us out there. And in some certain situations, I know there's a lot of one-hit KO decks in Expanded right now, but every now and then you can try and get a bit of healing going. Definitely if you're using like Seismitoad early on, you can AZ him up late once he's taken some damage and move into a bigger attacker, so AZ is pretty nice there. We're playing one Hex Maniac. There's a bunch of different reasons why this is really nice. Archeops is one of the main reasons. If we can, because the 2 Maxie targets in our deck are really not that helpful against Blastoise, we look for the turn 1 Hex Maniac against Archie, because if we can deny them getting the Archie out in the first place by using their Shaymins and Jirachis, that's really good. It sets them back basically a whole turn. And even when we're midway through a game, if there's ever a point where we can kill an active Keldeo and get a Hex Maniac off, it pretty much guarantees that they're not going to respond us that turn, which is pretty awesome. So Hex Maniac, really nice for that matchup specifically. Every now and then as well, it's a nice bit of disruption here or there, so very good to have this card in the deck. Also because it's one of these cards that does nothing to affect your hand, but it is playing a supporter, so if you are sitting on a hand that you really enjoy, you don't want to use an N, Judge or a Juniper, and you don't want to use Lysandre, but you need to get the trigger for Gallade, it doesn't hurt you to just VS Seeker Hex and just use Hex to get that extra damage boost for Gallade. So for that reason alone, I like playing Hex Maniac. A couple more one-offs. We're playing a 1-1 split of Judge and N. Judge could be subbed out for Getsis. I know a lot of people have been playing Getsis in their decks. I've preferred Judge just overall because, well, basically it's edging it at the moment. This could easily be a Getsis, to be honest. But Judge is going to be a constant disruption for your opponent, and you don't have to gamble with the Getsis. So I prefer Judge just slightly, based on the format right now at least. So yeah, shuffling, forcing your opponent to draw into 4 cards. It again can be a nice play against Archeops early on, trying to deny their options as best we can. Against a load of decks, people don't like being judged early, because in terms of disruption, Judge is way better in the early game in comparison to N, and then in the late game, N is the disruption card that we want to use. So I like having the split of both, and of course still very powerful, so we play 1 in here to help swing games basically when we go behind, or at least when it's coming down to close prizes near the end of the game. So then our 2 of supporters, we're playing 2 Lysandre, still very important. It's absolutely clutch using it with Gallade to kill Shaymins. It's clutch in general, just picking off what we need to. Lysandre's still really pro card. We do have the 2 Maxie's Hidden Ball trick. I would definitely go with 2 over 1, because it always gives you the option to compress 1 away. Obviously it means you're not going to prize it as much, but if you have 2 in your deck, it means you can happily compress 1 away, even if you don't know that you can get it that turn, because then you have the option of both Jirachi and VS Seeker to be outs further down the line during your turn. For example, if you have a compressor but you don't have the combination in hand, and you know you're going to have to dig with something like Shaymin, it gives you more outs in terms of Ultra Ball now becomes an out to find Shaymin, and you also have VS Seeker as a potential out, so you just have way more options by having 2 Maxie in your deck. It makes a lot more sense in my opinion. Finally, we're playing 2 Juniper, to signify that it is an expanded deck. Yeah, we're playing Junipers, still very powerful draw card, dump and draw. We don't need it too often in the deck, so we're not playing a huge amount of it, but when we need it, we can just dump and draw. Still very powerful for us. So, for stadiums, we're playing 1 Parallel. This is slightly in fear of Rayquaza. Ray can be a bit of an issue for us. Also, if we flip it against ourselves, it can buy us a lot of time against Seismitoad, which is really nice. It can make it awkward numbers for Entei as well. Entei Charizard is a deck that's been propping up a little bit in Standard more than Expanded, but it's something to be aware of as well. Also, that minus 20 damage can be relevant for stuff like Vespiquen. I mean, normally they're going to be able to get one-shots anyway. They play something like 30 Pokemon, so it's not too big of a deal. But it's more so to get rid of our own Shaymins and Jirachis, like I was saying earlier. It means we don't have as many Lysandre targets in terms of prizes and in terms of stall. So it just really does protect us in that situation. Also, if we're up against Rayquaza, limiting their bench to 3 can be absolutely destructive. Without the Parallel City, I would pretty much rate the Rayquaza player in the matchup. But Parallel can completely swing it. They lose so many Pokemon. It forces them back at least a turn and buys you enough time to hopefully get back into that matchup. So there we are, Parallel, very nice card as a one-of. We are playing the 1 Floatstone. We do have Dark Cloak as our main means of retreating, and we have the AZ as a backup. But additionally, Floatstone, slightly better in the early turns, where we want to be attaching to our attackers, rather than just so that we can move things. The Floatstone is slightly better there. So yeah, I like having the extra option of Float. We are playing 2 Muscle Bands in here. Muscle Bands, really nice for improving our output. It means that we can Y-Cyclone to kill Shaymins. We just have slightly better output with Evil Ball. Oblivion Wing is helping us out at killing Combees and Zubats early on. So a huge number of reasons, not the least that we are protecting ourselves from Headringers. So plenty of reasons why that's good. It actually even means that Unown can kill Joltix with Muscle Band, so we have technically an additional attacker against Night March by playing this guy, which is pretty hilarious. Also, he hits 60 on a Mew thanks to weakness. That's brilliant. So finally we have the Energy. For DC, of course, works with Yveltal, works with Shaymin, works with Gallade. So many reasons why this is good. Oh, and Toad as well, of course. So. And our other attackers like Darkrai doesn't mind having a DC attached, so that's always good. And finally 6 Dark Energy. We have Oblivion Wing to recover it, we have Dark Patch to recover, and we also have Super Rod, so it's rarely an issue trying to find our Dark Energy, especially because we can dump 1 or 2 early on with Compressor. It should work out pretty nicely. So that is the deck. It has a whole bunch of options based on what we're playing against, so it's going to be interesting to see what we face in a ladder and how the deck really functions. It sort of improvises based on matchups, so it does take a while to learn how to play this deck. You just need to know what's useful for each matchup, really. It shouldn't be too complicated, but yeah, let's see how it functions. See you in 2 seconds. So we found ourselves a game against Revel 001, and we'll be flipping a coin, and we'll go for heads, and we lose the flip, so our opponent will get to choose here. Let's see what he's going for. Taking his time deciding. Maybe he's an interesting deck. Sometimes Night March likes to go second. Maybe we're just lagging, who knows. Okay, our opponent's going first. And have a pretty awkward start. We're going to need something off this Trainer's Mail, or we could look for something like a Shaymin. It actually looks like a Maxie's hand if we want to get Archeops going, and we do see an Eevee, so actually we could have the perfect hand for a Maxie here. Depending on our top deck, we could get the turn 1 Maxie from hand just by discarding with the Ultra Ball, playing down the rest of our cards, and Ultra Balling to find Jirachi. So this could be amazing. Getting the turn 1 Archeops is great, especially because our opponent chooses to play this Eevee. It could be an indication that he plays multiple different energy. It could even mean it's a different type of deck altogether. It could be something utilizing Jolteon, trying to get weakness on things. But we do see that Compressor, so let's see what he wants to get rid of early on here. We see our opponent gets rid of the Wobbuffet straight away. That's interesting. I feel like he's going to need it if we're getting Archeops out. We see that VS Seeker for End, so we get End out of a Archeops hand, potentially. Obviously, it does depend on what we would have top decked, and if we wanted to take something from Trainer's Mail, we might have needed some help there as well. Because this looks like a way less likely turn 1 Archeops. But it does seem to be a Vespiquen Flareon, so we continue to see Ultra Balls from our opponent, finding a Shaymin now. Looks like he's going to be setting up some cards here. 3 Pokemon in the discard so far. I'm going to keep a little counter because it's a nice little policy to have when you're up against these types of decks. We see our opponent attached to the bench in fear of maybe getting knocked out this turn, and just passes it over to us. So how on earth do we get the Archeops this turn? I think the first thing we want to play is the Trainer's Mail and see what we can get off of that. We do get Ultra Ball, which is pretty nice. We get Compressor as well. If I get Compressor, I'm pretty much guaranteeing that I won't get it this turn. If I take Ultra Ball, I can get rid of Lysandre and Egg and then get a big Shaymin. It also means we could find something like a baby Yveltal to start threatening knockouts here. I think I'm going to be realistic and just take the Compressor here for a slightly better setup. I'm going to look to put Dark Energy in the discard pile, because then we can look for a Dark Patch and potentially use Evil Ball or Y Cyclone this first turn. So let's have a look through our deck. We do have at least one Maxie. There's Gallade, but there's Archeops as well. We know we had that because it was in our early hand. So I think a Dark Energy and those 2 pieces will be going in our discard pile. Depending on... I've only seen one Maxie so far. I want to see if both are in here. There are plenty of one-ofs in this deck, so there's a lot to check out. We do have both Maxies in here, so... whoops, it's not going to let me continue to look at the deck. That's a bit of an issue with the PTCGO right now. Is Jirachi in here? No, it doesn't look to be in here. So we wouldn't have had it turn 1, it looks like. I would have had to dig for via Shaymin instead of guaranteeing it, so that's fine. We can discard those. We're going to put down Yveltal EX. We're going to put down double Colorless. Do I want to first get the setup going? I think I do. There's no real reason not to here. And hopefully find something like Dark Patch. We do find Dark Patch, which is very nice. We also find AZ, so we've guaranteed a early attack here, which is really nice. The only issue is, where would I attach once we do use this AZ? I think I want to use AZ over Juniper here, just because it guarantees that we take the first prize here. We're going to use Unown first, and we get Trainer's Mail. The ideal thing here would actually be a Floatstone, because then we can Lysandre and kill a Combee. We do get Comp Search, so technically we got it, which is perfect. So this is going to be a crazy turn 1 here. Absolutely amazing. Taking the initiative. We can actually discard the AZ at this point. I think, yes. So we're going to go for Floatstone. I believe I saw it in here. Yeah, there it is. We're good. We're good. The only issue is we don't really have a good follow-up attacker. And one of the things Vespiquen is notorious for is being able to stream attackers very, very easily. So that's a bit of an issue here. It looks like we're going to be moving the Dark Energy onto Darkrai. So not the best of Y Cyclones here. But either way, we've taken the first prize, and it's so important against a deck like this to keep up with the prize trade. So we're able to get rid of a DCE as well, which is pretty nice. Forces like blacksmiths later on down the line. We get our other Juniper off the top, which is not ideal, but there we are. Where's our opponent going to go here? Interesting decision. Depends what's in his hand, really. I'm not to know that. But normally Combi would be the right pick if he has access to Vespiquen, because then it's a free retreater. But again, it depends what's in his hand. So that makes a 4th Pokemon in this discard pile. So our opponent does go into the Eevee. He does have the Flareon in hand, it looks like. We don't see any Blacksmith pieces in the discard pile as of yet. But we are seeing an Ultra Ball getting rid of Teammates and Combi. So what is more important than Teammates at this point in the game? I really don't know, because that would guarantee DCE and like a VS Seeker the next turn. So unless he's holding another Teammates or something like VS Seeker in hand, I'm not sure if I agree with that. But it's probably going to be the VS Seeker stuck in his hand. We do see that set up for some more cards. And we do see the evolution into Vespiquen on the bench. And we do see that lovely golden VS Seeker. Wow, going for Juniper. That is, well, maybe he's got Pokemon he wants to discard. Oh, that's why he didn't go for the Teammates. He needs more Pokemon in the discard pile. I'm a fool. Okay, so far he has 3, 6, 7, 8 in the discard pile. We see a 9th with that Unown that hits the discard. And then a 10th with another Unown, it looks like. So far they're doing 120. Let's see what else they can do here. They need DCE, probably like another Compressor, and maybe Muscle Band if they play it. We see an Eevee go onto the bench, then evolution into Flareon, so he's actually playing out his Pokemon now. So maybe he's missed an attack, which would be amazing for us. Yeah, not even an attack. That's fantastic. So we see Parallel City, and I really don't think I want to play it. It's not the ideal time. It can get rid of Shaymins for him, which obviously I don't want. I don't really want to limit my bench at the moment. We don't get much value out of that. So let's just use the Juniper. Don't want to play Parallel. Don't want to limit my own bench. It's too ugly to do that. So we can use that Juniper. And let's have a look at our discard pile quickly. We do have that egg to make the Maxie a little bit cheaper. I think I want to keep digging for cards here, because we want to be able to get Muscle Band to knock out this Flareon. So we'll play down the Seismitoad. We will Ultra Ball away the Dark and the Maxie. And we'll grab that Shaymin EX. Looking for Muscle Band here really is the big thing. And looks like we whiff, which is a bit of an issue. I think I want to play down that Yveltal EX and just go for the Y-Cyclone onto that, because it seems slightly nicer. Alternatively, I can continue with Darkrai, because then the following turn I can go for a Lysandre, trying to knock out this Flareon and Vespi in one turn. Yeah, let's go for that instead. It also means that I have a slot available on the bench for a Archeops or a Gallade, because at this point we're pretty late to the party with Archeops that it's probably not even worth it. So I want to keep the bench slot slightly available in case again he misses a knockout. But I mean, with this hand it doesn't look likely anyway, so not too big of a deal, but a small decision along the way really. So our opponent does have VS Seeker, and what's that? It looks to be a Life Do, which is kind of frustrating. So then we just see VS Seeker for Juniper. Of course, we didn't take a knockout that turn. Wow, they're playing Bayonet as one of their techs. That's pretty interesting. That's really nice, actually. It does a lot of different purposes. but our opponent's still doing lots of things. They do indeed play that Jolteon, so with that Jolteon being played, it's going to be a lot easier for them to, as long as they can find DCE, they've got a KO this turn, because they do have 10 Pokemon in the discard. Even more now with that Battle Compressor. They've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So way overkill at this point. But again, missing the DCE. Wow, that's really big for us. We want to ideally go for Lysandre here, but the hand doesn't really warrant it. So it might be that we're just going to be settling for something else here. Don't really want to use that Judge because it will give him a hand, and we know he doesn't have a we know he doesn't have DCE right now. He just attached a fire to his benched Vespi. We do actually have potentially a Maxie, but at the moment we don't have Gallade in the discard pile, and our opponent's already evolved pretty much as he wants to this turn, so I would have to go Ultra Ball to find Gallade. Okay, yeah, that's what we're going to go for. We're going to Ultra Ball to find Gallade, because he's a real nice attacker. And then we'll Ultra Ball these two away. And I don't want to find a target because the only target I would have gone for there was Unown, but it's already in our discard pile. So we can use Super Rod now. And we want to put back Unown, Yveltal EX, and probably even the Archeops here. I think it's better in the deck than the egg is. And that Dark is so nice for Dark Patch, so let's just put Archeops back into the deck because he's just too late, really. Let's just find Gallade instead to help out with top decks and stuff like that. So we have got him online. Very nice. And we can use Trainer's Mail here. We didn't hit any energy, which is a bit of a shame. There's Muscle Band, pretty late to the party as well. Would have been nice a few turns ago. So now we have nothing more to play, so let's just use Premonition. We can't even retreat out of this Yveltal, which is a real pain. So what do I want to take here? We definitely need energy for next turn, so I think that's what we take. Yeah, that's definitely what we're taking here. Don't want to take Unown, so we'll save that for later. I'll be using a supporter after we attach anyway, so I think the rest of the order's kind of irrelevant. And it's really unfortunate that we couldn't deal with this Flareon this turn. So we're just going to have to pass it over. Really lost a bit of momentum here. After our opponent had a really slow start, we've kind of missed a beat, which is a bit unfortunate for us. Interesting that they play the Bayonet and they also play the Life Dew in the same deck. Bayonet does offer a lot. I was going to say it was for mirror matches so that they shut down other people's Life Dew. Also, it really helps out against stuff like Sableye Garb, trying to do the same thing. Obviously, it gets around Focus Sash. It makes Spirit Links not work, so plenty of reasons why Bayonet is really nice, but our opponent doesn't even have it. So our opponent now uses an N, resetting our top decks, but also resetting our pretty average looking hand. So that's not too bad. We get into a Dark Patch, which is pretty okay. Our opponent finally finds DCE, so can use Vengeance to get a knockout here. Now, we don't have... Well, we're going to be sending up Darkrai here. We don't have Lysandre just yet. But that's definitely what I'm digging for this turn. So, I think we want to Premonition first. So either DCE or DC or Lysandre is what I'm looking for here. And we miss all of those things. Okay, well, at least we hit Dark Energy. So I guess we take that. Then we take Trainer's Mail to try and reset our next few. because the rest of them are looking pretty grim here. So what we want to do is use Unown to get us into that dark energy. And we're going to be using baby Yveltal this turn. Because we have no real good valid attackers, to be honest. We don't want to waste Darkrai if we don't have the Lysandre. It would have been really nice to combo this with like killing a Vespi, but we just can't do it, which is a shame. I could play the Hex just to do it, but it's a nice thing to have for Gallade. And really, what abilities is our opponent going to need this turn? Doesn't look like many. Even DC would have been nice for Toad this turn, but again, those options are not currently available to us, so we're going to have to settle for using Oblivion Wing. And we're going to attach once again to Darkrai, fully committing ourselves to Darkrai at this point. And obviously not taking a prize thanks to that Life Do. So our opponent is ahead of prizes now. As long as they can like chain a couple of Lysandres, we're in a lot of trouble here. One of the reasons why we play the parallel, it's for situations like this where we can get rid of our Shaymins. But again, we just got things in not quite the perfect sequencing as of yet. So our opponent has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So he's getting knockouts on all of our dudes if he gets the energy this turn. And I'd be amazed if he doesn't. We do see DC onto the Flareon. That's not actually perfect for him. He prefers getting Blacksmiths onto Flareons and DC is onto Vespies. But it looks like he's not complaining. He's able to get the knockout there with the Vengeance. So we are going to go into our free retreating Darkrai. He won't be able to get the one hit because he does have a Floatstone on him. So again, we're in a situation where we need to slightly reset our hand and get something better here. Yeah, we're really slipping in this matchup, which is a bit awkward. We can take Lysandre, which is pretty good. It means we can actually stay. We can take a prize this turn and set up Flareon. So now we're going to use Premonition. We need to get DC out of one of these 5. And we do hit it, which is absolutely huge. From there, I don't think anything else is too important. DC allows us to attack with Gallade next turn, and potentially we can drop the Yveltal Dark Patch and start attacking with that. At this point, I think it's fine to bench it. We have so many targets on our bench. It even means we could get a Quaking Punch next turn. So we're going to try and keep ahead in the prize race. The Jolteon's not, well, not keep ahead, but keep up in this prize race at least. Jolteon's not an issue because he's got enough Pokemon anyway in the discard pile at this point. So we're going to be using Night Spear and slapping 30 onto Flareon. I'd be absolutely amazed if he doesn't kill the Darkrai. But just in case, the math is slightly better. It works with Y-Cyclone as well. So a couple of reasons why we did that there. So Flareon does come in. Our opponent needs to find another Vengeance attacker to actually sustain himself in this game. That's the only hope that I see us having of keeping in here. Our opponent's lost 3 Combees. 4 Combees and 2 Eevees. Wow, okay, so he's out of attackers. He needs to hit Super Rod this turn. It may just be that he's overextended too much in this game. We haven't seen anything like Super Rod or Life Do yet, so it's likely that's what he needs to do this turn at the very least. Some sort of play where he uses a Super Rod, a Life Do, and then Ultra Balls to find something, but no, just a Vengeance. So we are straight back in this game, which is absolutely awesome, because he's basically just out of attackers now. And we know that we're getting DCE, so we can just go into Toad. And we will slap the DCE straight on. I know that the rest of our top decks are pretty shoddy, so we want to use Battle Compressor to reset them. Let's get rid of a couple of things that are less useful to us. I don't think we need Darkrai at this point either. Maybe we do, just for free retreat. Let's get rid of the baby instead. Let's use Premonition to get ourselves into something good here. And somehow we're recovering in this matchup, which is pretty miraculous, to be honest. I think I just want to take VS Seeker because we have no real other good options. I might just go for Chain VS Seekers, actually. Yeah, let's do that. Let's use Dark Patch as well. We may as well just empty our hand fully. Because then we could actually go for a Maxie next turn if we use this Hex this turn. Which could be hilarious. It just stops him using any sort of evolutions throughout the rest of the game. So he'll be stuck using Sky Return like all game now, if it all goes to plan. It depends what we get from our prizes actually, if it's a playable card or not. And it's a Jirachi, which is technically a playable card. Not sure if I want to put it down, but technically we could. So our opponent goes into Shaymin. We've now used Quaking Punch, so we've also denied their Super Rod or Sacred Ash. So it looks to be very awkward for them, just at one prize remaining, which is pretty bad for him. But there we see the Shaymin with DCE. His best option might just be to Lysandre to try and stall. But we do have AZ in our discard pile, so we do just see that Sky Return for 30 going into Shaymin. So his idea here is to keep bouncing between Shaymin, forcing us to move from Seismitoad, which is a very good play. We want to... I think I want to use something like Judge here. I think Juniper puts us on way too much of a clock. So I think Judge is the right play. Although they only have 2 cards left in deck, so I don't really want to do that. I think it might just be right to Quaking Punch our next 2 turns here. Let's just try and reset our top deck and keep Quaking Punching. 2 cards left in deck is going to force him to be the aggressor, so that's pretty good. Did we get anything new? The Dark Energy is actually probably more valid than the VS Secret at this point, so let's grab that so that we can try and threaten the Yveltal EX to attack. So let's do those things. And Quaking Punch. So it's not about the damage at all here, because he can just keep chaining between the Shaymins. I'm actually looking to deck him out at this point. Got a few messages going on Facebook, sorry about that. I'll try and cover them up. So we do see Shaymin just get benched, and we see a Sky Return for 30 more damage. We're not in fear of anything knocking us out, unless he plays a Tech Lightning Energy. He can... Oh no, he can't Blacksmith, so yeah, there's no way he's going to do anything. I think I just keep the Dark Energy in hand and take Darkrai as our next top deck. Depending on what we get here. Yeah, Darkrai is going to be our next top deck. Let's do these things. Could have gone for Ultra Ball to try and reset and get some slightly better things, but there's not too much in the deck, and we're trying to stall at this point, so let's just go for Quaking Punch. Again, apologies for the Facebook messages. I'm in a group, and it's apparently quite active right now. So he top decks his last card. Let's see what he can do. Is he just going to extend the hand now? Let's have a look. That Shaymin comes down. DCE onto Shaymin. Does he now play something like an N? No, just a Sky Return, so we win. So yeah, we were able to beat Best Become Flareon in a not very traditional way, but in order for him to get this far ahead in the prize race, he had to dump a whole bunch of his things. So we'll just end the turn and win the game. Hopefully we've not broken the game. There we go. So yeah, he had to overextend that much, and unfortunately that's something you have to keep track of with Flareon. It was that Seismitoad that stopped him getting the Super Rod or the Sacred Ash back, so that was pretty cool. And we could even have gone for another, had we not have got that Jirachi off the prizes, we could even have had the late Archeops to stop him getting any evolutions and basically force him into that situation. So that is the deck. Very interesting game as well. I think it was quite a fun one. Our opponent had a slowish start, and then we sort of missed a few attacks as well, so not perfect from either of us in terms of drawing cards, but I think we were able to improvise quite well to win that game. So there we are, guys. Hope you enjoyed the deck. It's a very interesting one. Plenty of plays available to it. So try it out yourselves. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. It's been Joe from OmniPoke, and I will see you guys next time.